Jack stood at the window holding on to a glass of bourbon when the phone rang. He hesitated for a moment, choked down the rest of his drink, and went over to the desk. Some rich guy was looking for his runaway daughter. The money was good, and Jack sure as hell didn't have the luxury of being picky these days. The caller didn't leave him a lot of information to go on. He quickly wrote down 2 names. Amanda Kane, the daughter, and the Pink Flamingo, some shady bar somewhere in New Harbor. The Pink Flamingo was Jack's best bet, but he had to find out the exact address. Jack took the phone book from the shelf. The Pink Flamingo was down in East Village. Definitely not the right neighborhood for a young girl, he thought. It was time to give this classy joint a visit. For a second, Jack thought about calling Mary, but the idea left his head as fast as it had entered. Jack looked at the picture of his old partner. It was his morbid little ritual before each new case, a reminder that you can't cheat death. Jack opened the drawer and picked up his gun. His old companion felt heavier than usual. He pulled the slide back and let it snap back into place. Jack opened the door and stepped out of his office. Next stop, the Pink Flamingo. The streets were quiet. Maybe it was the calm before the storm. Jack was soon to find out. The place reeked of cigarettes and cheap liquor. Not a place for pink flamingos. Maybe the owner was a bird lover, Jack thought. 2 guys were sitting in a corner having a heated discussion about last night's game. Another was passed out on one of the tables. A drunk was sleeping on one of the tables. Jack had been there, drowning his guilt in booze after his partner's death. He took a seat at the bar and ordered a bourbon. The effect of the last one was slowly wearing off. The barman was a scrawny-looking fella. When Jack asked him about Amanda, he just looked at him and kept on wiping the bar. There is no such thing as free information. Jack dropped a 20 in the tip jar. The bartender just pointed at the back door and told Jack to talk to a guy named Samiri. Jack went to the back door and the barman busted the door open. It was never a good sign having to leave a bar through the back door. Samiri was fixing an old van that was parked in an alley behind the Pink Flamingo. Jack thought about the bourbon he left on the bar. What a waste. The volume on the van's radio was maxed out. Jack shouted his name, but received no response. Samiri couldn't hear him over the loud music that was coming from the van's radio. Jack went over and turned the music off. Samiri came out onto the van, told Jack to please off, and went back under. The music was already turned off. A little annoyed, Jack made another attempt to start a conversation. Once again, Samiri turned him down and told him to fuck off. Jack was tired of playing games. He kicked the van as hard as he could. The jackknife holding up the van almost jumped out of place. He now had Samiri's full attention. He came out under the van, this time with a pipe in his hand. He was screaming something about drugs and a payment for a guy named Fuentes. Jack raised his gun and asked Affinity to be so kind as to put the pipe down. He made clear that he wasn't there because of Mr. Fuentes. After a, for the most part, polite conversation, Jack had all the information he needed. People become really chatty as soon as someone holds a gun to their face. Jack was done there and went back to his car. Amanda and her boyfriend Trevor were on the run from her father. They had cleared out one of his accounts and had taken off. Jack now had the address of the Lovebirds' hideout, a cabin outside the city. He knew the area quite well. He and Mary went down to Lake Monte a lot before they divorced. Jack had left the car at the road and was slowly making his way to the cabin. The moon was much brighter than in the city, he thought. The lights in the cabin were out. Nobody seemed to be home. The place was a mess. Chairs in the cabin door were lying scattered around in front of the cabin. The fuse box was completely fried. Under it, Jack found a flashlight that seemed to be working. Jack went inside to take a closer look. Jack was looking around the cabin. It became clear to him that they must have left in a hurry. Maybe Samiri had tipped them off. A strange green light was coming through the windows. Most of the furniture started to float in mid-air. Jack reached for his gun and ran outside. Jack couldn't hear a sound. The green light was pulling him, lifting him up into the air. He was floating over the cabin when he lost consciousness. Jack stood at the window holding on to a glass of bourbon when the phone rang. He hesitated for a moment, choked down the rest of his drink, and went over to